Makai Lemon is the pick to fix the Philadelphia Eagles passing offense. Find out why in Keith's 2026 mock draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I am an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. We have the final episode of Keith's first round mock draft for the 2026 NFL Draft. His first mock over at the Draft Network for the 2026 calendar year. We went through the first 10 picks on Monday. We went through the second 10 picks, and now we're going to finish out for picks 21 through 32. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Well, DP, let's get into it, man. We're going to start with pick 21. Pick 21, we have those Pittsburgh Steelers, and I have them drafting Washington wide receiver Denzel Boston. At pick 22, I have the Los Angeles Chargers drafting Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles. At pick 23, I have the Philadelphia Eagles going after USC wide receiver Makai Lemon. And then pick 24, those Buffalo Bills, right? They're going after Georgia linebacker C.J. Allen. DP, you know I love to throw a little controversy, right? I love to have a couple conversations at the top, get things a little messy, right? Not too messy, but a little bit messy. And I'm going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, DP, Makai Lemon. And to me, this pick is solely based off of I'm not sure where this A.J. Brown situation is going, right? But I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and as currently constructed, I think it's a pivot point where they need to make their mind up on who they want to be. Because if you're going to go with the wide receivers and be a heavy passing attack, then yeah, you're going to need two high-profile wide receivers, right? But if you're going to be a run game, and let this offense run through the run game, then maybe you need good wide receivers, not two great ones, right? And so I think offloading A.J. Brown, potentially getting some more draft picks, could you bolster this offensive line more, right? After losing a couple guys, and then being able to elevate in that type of manner. So that's why I went Makai Lemon, because I'm pulling out the crystal ball and saying that maybe A.J. Brown is playing for a different team next year.
I mean, that's very possible, right? He's been very
vocal,
publicly vocal and frustrated. And, and it's crazy because I remember reading the report that him and Devonta Smith were both frustrated, but you only knew about one, and that was A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown, talks and he speaks his mind, right? I wonder if this could be a situation, Keith, where you draft Makai Lemon, but instead of trading A.J., you trade Devonta, to where A.J. gets the bulk of those touches, right? And you still keep him happy, but then you put Makai Lemon in Devonta Smith's role, where he's kind of the chain mover, the security blanket on third downs. Teams want to double team A.J. Brown. You got a guy that can win, one-on-one from the slot and things of that nature. But this would be a very interesting. Crazy enough, if you're able to smooth it out, I would still draft Makai Lemon, because you need a third pass catcher. So I don't think, whether you trade A.J. Brown or not, I think it'll be a really good fit for this team, because they are a balanced offense. And I think a Makai Lemon would mesh well with the Jalen Hurts and help him get the ball out early and quickly, especially if he's playing in the slot. If they kept A.J. Brown and had Devonta Smith, you can put Makai Lemon in the slot and just let him move the chains. So I like that, Keith. Let's go to 21 here. I like this. I actually did a mock draft on my YouTube channel, the Scouting Room, and I did the same exact thing. I put Denzel Boston to the Steelers, and I thought about what the Houston Texans did with Jaden Higgins. Now, did I like the pick of Jaden Higgins? Not necessarily, because I wanted to see. Granted, they got Tank Dell coming back next year. I think Tank Dell come back healthy, and if he can stay healthy, he'll be there probably wide receiver too, because that chemistry between him and C.J. Stroud, and that's what they've been missing in this offense, that separator, that quick winner, things of that nature. But Jaden Higgins was a good complement for Nico, because Nico takes the top off the defense. Jaden works the short to intermediate. Well, if you take a Denzel Boston, I don't think Denzel has the foot speed and top end speed consistently to threaten NFL corners on the outside. like vertically, but he can win in the middle of the field. He can win on crossers and end breakers, similar to Jaden Higgins, but he's more dominant at the catch point. So that's where he can win on the outside, the back shoulder fade. And I'm hoping if I'm Pittsburgh, I think you getting the win over Baltimore, on was that Sunday Night Football or whatever, you getting that win to make the playoffs might signal to Aaron Rodgers, like, you know what, if we get a couple more pieces, we can make an even deeper run next year, depending on how, we don't know how deep of a run they make this year, but we could really be a problem in the AFC overall next year. I think they're hoping that Aaron Rodgers comes back. So adding a Denzel Boston, where you come out there with two twin towers, DK Metcalf, Denzel Boston on the outside, you still have Calvin Austin,
Roman Wilson,
like you still have
Jonnu Smith, I think, will be back next year. So it starts to look like a more well-rounded wide receiver core, right? Because I think
want to change play callers, though. You might want to get rid of Arthur Smith.
Man, DP, how many times I've been saying that, right? I've been off the Arthur Smith bandwagon since he was with the Atlanta Falcons. But no, I'm right there with you, and I think that game Sunday night showed just how top-heavy it was. It was DK Metcalf and the band, right? And so that's just how it appeared. But I agree with you.
Nobody came to see you, man.
Yeah.
He came back having a temptation.
Yep. Let's do this, man. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills, right? We haven't discussed them a whole lot. And I think they've been at times underwhelming as far as performing as a team, right? There have been some losses that have been head scratching. Obviously, they still made the playoffs. The Patriots, lead the AFC East at the moment, but we'll see how the playoffs actually go. But them drafting CJ Allen, I think is much needed, man. They need a more defensive reinforcement, right? I think they rank towards the bottom 5 in a lot of defensive categories, and it's just been difficult. And in the past, I feel like it's just been the secondary, but now we're starting to see that, okay, it's a little bit in the trenches, that second level is struggling, and obviously there's injuries that play a part in it, but getting a guy like CJ Allen, sideline to sideline player, a thumper, he plays with the right ill will intent as a linebacker, right? Like, and that's what you want. You want your linebackers to have ill will at times, right? So when I made that selection, I was like, this would be interesting because I could go wide receiver here also, just because of the Keon Coleman thing, which has become one of the weirdest situations because nobody knows what's going on. No, they're not telling us what's going on. We know that the Buffalo Bills could use wide receiver help, right? And then he's on the bench, but then he's still on the NFL shop, NFL.com commercials.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is confusing. I'm lost. I'm lost for words. I don't know what to think. So I started to go wide receiver here, but I went linebacker for that purpose. I'm like, you know what? Go BPA. I don't think you can miss with CJ Allen. Like, just the type of football player he is. I think he's a good football player.
And Keith, this is something we've been saying for years, that they just weren't a physical enough team consistently. Yeah. And for a team that plays in the elements, right? Like you playing in Buffalo, when it gets cold out, teams shouldn't feel like, man, we can run the football.
We can run the ball
and do it effectively, right? So a CJ Allen, like you said, brings that will, that ill intent, that physicality downhill, 100%. And I think he pairs so well with Terrell Bernard. As Terrell Bernard being the more athletic guy that sideline range, can drop in the coverage, which crazy enough, CJ Allen can drop in the coverage too. But I think pairing those two guys together with Sean McDermott, I think Sean McDermott have a lot of fun calling defenses and scheming things up and then you could blitz either one of those guys from the second level, right? To get into the face of the quarterback and play the alley. I like that. That's a very underrated fit. And to be completely, I think people will look at this mock and they might skip over them like, oh, okay, they got a linebacker. No, they got themselves a guy that can kind of change the culture defensively, Keith. I want to jump real quick to 22. Sonny Styles, that's the only pick we haven't hit on yet. Sonny Styles, number one, I'm so shocked to see him fall this far. Linebacker Sonny Styles of Ohio State going to the Chargers. Pairing him potentially with Diane Henley. Man, you talk about an athletic, just juiced up duo at the second level. And at the end of the day, for me, yes, Justin Herbert is great. I want to limit how great he needs to be. Like, I don't need him. I don't want to put everything on him all the time. This defense needs to really be able to play complementary football. And I think adding a Sonny Styles to this linebacker core helps out a lot. I think in my mock, I gave him like Kaden McDonald from Ohio State. So you went both when Ohio State, for him. They need help on defense regardless. But man, thinking about Diane Henley and Sonny Styles, that's a really good duo at the second level.
Yeah, and I think that it's complimentary from the perspective of both guys are athletic, right? And Sonny might be a little bit better in the box, but that's good because he allows Diane to kind of roam free, right, and kind of play his style of football. Or maybe he's the guy that drops into the overhang at times.
Yeah.
It gives them two very versatile linebackers that can play really well. But DP, that was picks 21 through 24. Coming up next, man, we're gonna roll through picks 25 through 28. Coming up next.
Ever wish to become a pro QB, getting drafted first overall? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness, to turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. Because at home watching real football, you believe that you can do better. Are you accurate? You make quick decisions. You're a quick processor of information. Oh, you are? Well, prove it with Ultimate QB Football Legend. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store, and we've got something special for you guys. Use the promo code locked on all caps in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend. QB1, it's your legacy. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, and with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, and explains things clearly, while also helps you walk out feeling confident about your next steps. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit for you. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message.
DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing. Right at pick number 25, I have the Chicago Bears. They're going after Texas Tech edge rusher Romello Height. At pick 26, I have the San Francisco 49ers drafting Utah offensive tackle Caleb Lomu. At pick 27, I have the Houston Texans drafting Alabama offensive tackle Kaden Proctor. And at pick 28, I have the Cleveland Browns drafting Texas A&M wide receiver KC Concepcion. DP, I'm going to start with this. I double dipped for the Cleveland Browns. I went wide receiver twice. And I said, you know what? Let's just go with it, right? And I think they walk away with two very talented guys. KC Concepcion, in my opinion, he's that do-it-all receiver. And I don't want to just call him a gadget wide receiver, because I think that notion and that tone has a bad undertone to it. But also he does so much more than just one thing, right? It's just the fact that he's a versatile offensive weapon and he can do it all. And so pairing him with the Cardinal Tate, I thought was a good 1-2 punch. And like I said, if you're going to believe in Shedeur Sanders, give him the reins. You already fired Kevin Stefanski. I'm like, you know what? Double dip at wide receiver, give him everything you have, and let's see what happens.
No, I love it, Keith, because the simple fact of like the way that they mesh, where Cardinal Tate can be that X receiver, and you have a Casey Concepcion who can play the Z and he can play the slot, right? And I advise anybody who hasn't watched them, please, the Notre Dame tape and LSU tape, go turn those two on. Leonard Moore is the best cornerback in college football. Mansour Delane is the best cornerback in this draft class and the second best cornerback in college football, in my opinion. Both of them had trouble with Casey Concepcion. He beat both of them on tape. Did he always get the ball? No, but he was open a lot against both of those guys. The stock start ability, the explosiveness, the change of direction, the route running, and the release package. And then if you want to be, depending on who they get as the head coach, if they get a creative play caller, whether it's the head coach or the OC, where you get some switch releases, you get the motion, zipper motion, and he gets a free release and he's running the over route, things of that, like, trying to chase. I remember there was one route where Mansour Delane was in man coverage and they ran a shallow cross and he ran him into traffic. And Mansour was fighting for his life to get back in the phase because he's so explosive and fast when he hits his top end speed. Yeah, this is a guy who can win over the top. He can win the short, the intermediate, and he can win in short, and then he can give you the gadget stuff. At the end of the day, Jerry Jeudy, talented wide receiver, he's just not consistent. There's throws. I think I remember a couple of weeks ago when Shador threw him a dime around the right sideline, and he dropped it. There was another one I think he dropped, and it turned into an interception. And I'm like, you know what, brother, you might be dropping your way out of Cleveland sooner than later. So I think I'm perfectly fine with them going. You know, they could go offensive tackle, but Caleb Lomu came off the board already. So and Proctor came off the board. So I like that fit to the Cleveland Browns. Keith, I want to go to 27, right? And I want to talk. Let's talk through this one. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama, going to Houston Texans. We know the Houston Texans. I feel like their offensive line is figuring out the O-line, but I feel like they're like one more piece away, like that one piece away. And looking at our guy, Ariante Ursary, who, if you're every day, we told you last summer to look out for Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota. And he can play. And this is a good, he's strong. He's got athleticism, has the arm, everything you want in the tackle he had. Well, he's looked good down the stretch for the Houston Texans. He's done well they did the same thing the Jets did with Olu Fashion. Let's start you at right tackle when you're a left tackle. Like, then switch you. Like, it doesn't make sense. And you wonder why he's giving up pressures because he's not used to playing one spot right now. But once they got him settled at left tackle, he's settled in. Tytus Howard is kind of like their glue guy. He plays tackle and both guard spots, and he's given up 0 sacks this year. And then Blake Fisher's starting to come along at times as well. So it's like, if those 3 spots are okay, if you want to keep Jake Andrews at center, fine. Tell me, Keith, do you think Proctor could take the Makai Becton arc and go from tackle to playing guard at 6'7", 350, 360?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, DP. And when I put him here, obviously understanding the pieces that the Houston Texans had, I always take this approach, right? Is that if you need an offensive lineman, right, and draft one, but draft a guy that's versatile, right? So then that way, because your goal is, once you kick off the season next year, is to have your best 5 on the field. Meaning that if you have your offensive tackle is loaded, right? You have 2 offensive tackles, like, man, we're really good at this spot, and your guards are weak, but you have your next best player is an offensive tackle, then that doesn't help you, right? Like, you're not putting your best 5 players out there on the football field. So I took that approach with Caden Proctor because, to me, in my opinion, one of his best things is his run game, right? Like, you're getting a big 360-pound guy, you put him in a phone booth across from a defensive tackle. Hey, they may last the first quarter, they may last the second quarter, they may last the third quarter, right? But by the fourth quarter, it's like, you know what, I'm tired of battling with 360 pounds, right? And so I took that approach. And then also, hey, if injury comes or anything happens, he can always kick back out to tackle and play pretty good football. And also, I think that with Caden, we have to be open to different things because of his pass pro ebbs and flows this year, right? He's flashed some very high level stuff, but then he's had some games where you kind of leave there scratching your head, like, I'm not sure about this. And it was very Evan Neal-ish, right? From the film. And if you remember, DP, I think this was our first year together at the Draft Network, and I had a late second round grade on Evan Neal based off of him playing right tackle, right? Then when he got the left tackle, he played much better. So I just think that there could be ebbs and flows, but I want for Caden Proctor to be put in a position to where he can be successful, because he shouldn't be bad, right? And I think that's the thing where everybody's going to be concerned, like, oh, compare him to Evan Neal. Like, I think Evan Neal's out of position. So I think for Caden Proctor, he's versatile enough to just, like, man, find him the right spot for him to be successful. And the Houston Texans need it, man. They need to figure that thing out, because the defense is all world, right? But offensively, I mean, they leave much to be desired is probably the best way to put it. That's the nicest way to put it. As much it's
inconsistencies, man. Inconsistencies all around that offense, and it's like, hey, we get the offensive line solidified, we can have a consistent run game. Like Woody Marks flashed a lot this year. Woody Marks,
and we could play action off of it, and then you have the wide receiver weapon. So you look at it and you say, okay, the running back room was solid, right? Like, I don't believe that they ran through that many running backs and none of those guys can play running back, right? I don't believe in that, right? The wide receiver room is a good wide receiver room, like the Noel.
You get Tank Dell back next year. You got
the
You're decent.
Collins, they got a lot of wide receivers. Like this, I don't think they're
Legitimately.
hurting for wide receivers. And so you're like, okay, it has to be the offensive line needing improvement. DP, before we transition, I'm gonna go to this, man. The first pick that I led off to begin this segment at pick 25, the Chicago Bears
Yeah.
with Romello height. That was one that was a if I had to, that was like one I stamped myself, right? Like that was a Keith Sanchez stamp of approval. And here's why: they have Montez Sweat on one side, right? Which Montez Sweat has been very productive. They have Austin Booker in the fold, right? Mr. 6'5", 6'6", long arms, athletic, rangy. I think they can use another fastball pitcher. Just if he wants to come in and play DPR or something like that, right? And be the designated pass rusher. But from Romello height, when you watch the film, that first step and just the pass rush ability it's scary. And I remember this young man from recruiting him in high school. I think he was in Dublin, Georgia, or something like that. And he was only a 3-star DP. And I'm like, this kid kind of good. Like we need to pay attention to him. And I'm just watching him at Texas Tech, and it was just so funny watching that game. I think we talked about it earlier this week, right? When we was discussing David Bailey. Him and David Bailey and Romello Height took turns on who's gonna get to the quarterback, right? Like David Bailey went first, and then Romello was like, you know what, I got to give me one too. So
Yeah, man.
I like this Romello Heights situation. And then you talk about the versatility of playing linebacker. I know people can be like, oh, okay, well, they have TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edwards. And I'm like, I agree. But just adding another versatile second level defender like that could add just another dynamic to this defense with Dennis Allen.
No, I love it. I mean, like you said, because their defense need help. They've showcased, I think secondary wise, they're fine. But that front seven has been a little shaky, you know what I mean? And I think adding a Romello Hayek is like, you think about you being able to go like wide 9 sets, and you got Montez Sweat, Austin Booker comes off the bench, and you got Romello Hayek. I think, and it's a situation where you wide 9, I would truthfully, you can go to a spot where you say, you know what? Maybe we put Austin Booker as the edge, we walk Romello Hayek over the guard, wide 9 Austin Booker, or flip him to where that tackle has to go out there to the edge defender. Now you got a guard who's not as great of an athlete dealing with a great athlete in the phone booth.
Yeah, in which Romello is used to doing that because that's what he did at Texas Tech, right? Like he mugged the A-gap a lot, do different things. So it could be a good scheme fit where it's not too difficult for him.
And real quick before we transition, Keith, pick 26, Caleb Lomu. I love this, right? We like Trent Williams, Hall of Fame tackle, in my opinion, one of the best ever. But he's getting long in the tooth. I think he got hurt a couple weeks ago. I think it might have been who are they playing? Chicago. I think when he got hurt against Chicago in the night game, I think it was for the Niners. Getting Caleb Lomu to be the heir apparent to Trent Williams, that is a great move for the San Francisco 49ers. Because at the end of the day, your offense is only as good as your offensive line, especially in that Kyle Shanahan scheme. So being able to protect, Caleb Lomu can learn from one of the best ever. You know what I mean? He meshed well movement skills wise. He's an athletic tackle that can move laterally and everything. I think this would be a home run pick for them. Yeah, people are like, okay, they need wide receiver because they're losing Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall's battle injuries. But at the same time, if you get that tackle, this is a deep wide receiver class. Zachariah Branch just declared for the draft. That's a guy that can fit this offense, right? You got Chris Brazzell. Maybe you get the third round, you can get Chris Bell because he's coming off the ACL. You'll be able to find you a wide receiver in this class that can step in to a Juwan Jennings. For those who didn't watch him at Tennessee, he was a solid player. He wasn't a great player at Tennessee. He wasn't a great athlete. They used him as kind of a versatile piece. Kyle Shanahan was able to unlock him and get the best out of him. If there's only certain OCs and play callers I trust with players. Kyle Shanahan is one of them. So I trust if he can find the receiver on day 2, you're fine. He's going to be able to get that guy to produce.
Yeah, I agree. And you think about guys from Texas Tech, right? The Reggie Virgils. You think about the Deion Burks who we discussed. Who knows what Nick Anderson and those guys are going to do, right? Like when you're talking about just draft stock. So I agree. And I keep saying this, and we'll probably coin this, right? This wide receiver class is as deep as the running back class from last year. You will find a 5th, 6th, 7th round wide receiver that's going to be productive next year. DP, let's do this, man. We're about to discuss picks 29 through 32. So yes, we're wrapping up the mock draft. Picks 29 through 32 coming up next.
Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy for you. That's NBA Happy Hour. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Keith, let's go through picks 29 through 32.
Yep, start with 29. The Los Angeles Rams, and this is controversy. DP, this is a lot of controversy.
That's your middle name, Keith.
Pick 29, the Los Angeles Rams drafting quarterback from Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss. Pick 30, we have the New England Patriots drafting Missouri edge rusher Zion Young. Pick 31, Denver Broncos drafting Ohio State interior defensive lineman Kaden McDonald. And at pick 32, the Seattle Seahawks drafting Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. DP, I think it's only right that we start at pick 29, right, with Trinidad Chambliss to quarterback for Ole Miss to the Los Angeles Rams. Listen, I know there's been a lot of discussion, right, about him returning back to Ole Miss, and I'm not
he's waiting on the waiver or something like that.
Yeah, the waiver and going back and things like that. I'm not counting this situation out, DP, until the playoffs are over, right? And we see a bad game from him and be like, you know what, there's no shot that he'll go in the first round, because there's so much thought that goes into this. Obviously, there's the NIL part of it, and I know a lot of kids, a lot of young men are making decisions on next year, will I make more money in college or in the NFL, right? And that's what a lot of the guys are making money on. And I know Trinidad is, he's probably leaning this way because he's like, hey, if Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati got $4 to $5 million, hey, can I scrape me up a good $6 or $7 million, right, from Ole Miss? Who knows?
Right.
But I'm looking at this situation, and this young man, to me, when I watch him play quarter, he got the right amount of grit, right? Like, he's the type of guy you want to grow and develop. And going from Division II to now Ole Miss, and he wasn't even a starter, but he's playing high level football, right? And he's the quarterback, and we've said this and said this again. Listen, Jackson Dart went first round, and I'm not sure how many big-time wins he had on his resume coming out of Ole Miss, right? Trinidad Chambliss has that big-time win against Georgia in the college football playoffs, the Sugar Bowl. So that's why I decided to still go with it. I'm not going to count it totally out of Trinidad Chambliss declaring for the NFL until it's, like, written in stone.
Yeah, I mean, the time of this recording, like the time of this pod, like, he's waiting on the waiver. And I don't know when that waiver – there's reports saying that people expect the waiver to get cleared, that he will be able to go back to Ole Miss. He struck a deal with Ole Miss just in case the waiver does go through. But, I mean, the way he's played, the big-time plays, the clutch ability late in that game versus Georgia, you can't ignore it, man. I mean, he's got a good arm. I mean, I think I came on here and shout out to some of our listeners, and every day is on YouTube, been commenting. He's like, man, you guys really called it on Trinidad months ago. It's like, yeah, when he took over and it was like, okay, this wasn't just an Arkansas defense is bad situation. This is this dude can actually play.
He could play some
situation.
Football. Yep.
And like, he kept just stringing together performances. And even the first game against Georgia, he played well up until the fourth quarter. And I think he went back and looked at that game and looked at that tape of the fourth quarter and realized what mistakes he made and said, you know what, I'm not making them again. And he understand, I have a get out of jail free card, my athleticism. I'm going to make you chase me if you do create any pressure, and I'm gonna extend the play, the windows for my receivers. So yeah, I think, and pairing them with the Sean McVay, and you think about what he'd be walking into if this would have happened in real life. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Terrence Ferguson at tight end,
Higbee.
and 100 Higbee. And then you look at the offensive line; it's a solid group. They can still, I think, they tackle is a position they can still address. But when you have a quarterback with his athleticism, like the same way Russell Wilson was able to use his legs and make plays in his prime with Seattle, you could do the same thing. Trinidad Chambliss could do the same thing. So that's a really good fit, honestly. One when I saw it, I was like, oh, I didn't see this at first. Like, this is okay. You know what I mean? Caught me off guard a little bit, but I definitely understand the rationale behind it. And again, Stafford, and then he would get a year to sit behind Stanford more than likely. And I think Stafford is the type of quarterback, man, you get a chance to sit behind him with the wealth of knowledge he has. Like, great. Keith,
he doesn't seem like a gatekeeping quarterback, right? Like he's
not
amazing.
gonna Ryan Tannehill this.
Yeah, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's already won a Super Bowl. People say he's one of the greatest.
Another, you know what I mean?
He's good.
He's set in stone. He don't have to worry about anything, right? So Keith, I think hey, listen, guys, gotta give Keith his credit, especially these last 4 picks. He hit on needs and improved every situation. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go to first. 32, Jermod McCoy to the Seahawks. I love this. Like, if there's a phrase, Keith, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the Seahawks were being rumored to trying to trade Tyreek Woolen, though, for whatever reason. I don't know. I really don't understand the rationale behind it, but they were talking about possibly trying to trade him during the deadline. He didn't do it. They stuck to their loins and they kept him. Well, I think he's up for a contract. Well, if they're not going to pay him and he's going to hit free agency, you need to find a replacement. And I think Jermod McCoy, not the same height and length, profile, but man coverage, zone, instincts. The key is going to be, hey, get him to the combine, do the medicals. We get the green light like John Legend. If we're good, we're good. And I hope that not only we get the green light for medicals, but also that he tests. Because, like, show us something. We haven't seen you in over a calendar year. You know what I'm saying? Get on that field. Show us the fluid hips. Show us that you can move your feet, run the 40, jump, right? Like, show us that you are, hey, I'm a year and a month and a half post-surgery and in my recovery. Hey, let us know how athletic you are right now at this stage. Because you think about by the time you're drafted, you'll be a year and like 3 months or so post-surgery and everything. By the time you get to preseason, you'll be a year and 5 or 6 months. Like, you want to be able to just consistently show right now, I'm good and I'm only at 85%, guys. Wait till I get to 100% by the start of the season. I think putting him in this defense, Mike McDonald, one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. One of the best coaches in the NFL and one of the best defensive minds in the NFL. He hit on Nicky Minwori from this past draft. You got Devin Witherspoon. I think Kobe Bryant's still playing safety. Crazy Keith. When DeMarcus Lawrence left Dallas, people thought he was washed up. He's over there balling for the Seahawks. You know what I mean? With Byron Murphy. They hit on Byron Murphy from Texas in the first round. Adding a Jermod McCoy just adds to that pot.
Yep, I agree. DP, I'm gonna wrap this up with the New England Patriots pick at 30. Zion Young, the edge rusher from Missouri. I like it because historically, right? And I put this in my excerpt. The Patriots have always had these versatile front seven guys, right? When you go to Willie McGinnis and Teddy Bruschi, right? And then even on the defensive, Richard Seymour, right? There's been so many versatile defensive players that I was like, you know what, this fits, right? This is familiar to Mike Vrabel. Then also they have a need for like pass rush, right? They need somebody that's going to create pressure and, get to the quarterback. And I think Zion Young, I don't know if he's going to be a 12 to 15 sack guy, right? But if he provides you a consistent 8 sacks per year while also having a versatility and ability to stop the run, that's a win for the New England Patriots, right? That's their fundamentals as far as playing football. So that was one that I liked a lot, and I'm excited to see him at the Senior Bowl because I wondered how much he's going to compare to his they probably weren't even teammates, especially in the transfer portal era now. But Darius Robinson, right, who came out of Missouri a couple years ago and went to the Arizona Cardinals. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go and subscribe. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to the podcast, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, guys, we got to preview the college football semifinals, man. We got 2 games this weekend, and we got to get into it. And we got to tell you about those prospects that you need to watch, whose stock is on the line in these 2 games. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.